blasting, billowing, bursting forth with the power of 10 billion butterfly sneezes.
I'm Tom Bain, and this is Wine, Money, and Song. If you're interested in wines and wanting to find out the best values, please subscribe. So the last episode, when I did the history of Napa Valley, I left you right after Robert Mondavi opened up the first bonded winery in Napa Valley for like 30-something years. And Mondavi really helped the image of California wines and the Judgment of Paris in 1976 threw fuel on the fire. And all of a sudden, prices were going up. And what's occurred over the last 20 years is a lot of investment from big corporations in Napa Valley. And the ownership, just like in Bordeaux, you have to understand in Bordeaux, there's a lot of insurance companies, a lot of luxury good companies who own major Bordeaux estates. Very few of them are held by private hands, families for hundreds of years. Some are, but you take a look at a lot of chateaus, and that's the same in Napa Valley now. You wouldn't know, but companies like Gallo, Treasury, Wine Guild, they own 30 or 40 different labels, and you don't even see their name on it. So how did that happen? And we're reaching a point now where there might be oversupply in Napa Valley. But let's go back to the 70s and the 80s. And let's just take a look back. Now, the Cabernet Sauvignon prices from 1989 to 2022, the price has gone up 503%. That's crazy. That's crazy inflation. So obviously, if the price of grapes are that high, the price of the wine has to go way up. And if you compare it with Sonoma, the Sonoma area, which makes excellent wines, is about 40% of what the Napa Valley wineries are. So if you want to buy a Napa Valley winery, it starts like at $1 million an acre. And each acre produces like 250 cases of wine. So theoretically, if you're paying off the $1 million price per acre and you have 250 cases, you got to get like $300 a bottle out of the chute. But that changes after, if you owned it for 100 years, you don't pay for that every year. You just pay the fixed costs. And you can make a lot of money if you own land in Napa Valley and you have no loan against it. And whatever you charge, it's if you're charging $200, it probably costs you $30, $40, $50 to make the wines. But not if you're taking big loans from the bank. And as I say, big corporations have really gotten involved, and they acquire family-owned wineries, and there's a whole plethora of wines in the last 20 years that have been bought out and under big corporations. I know Newton in Napa Valley was bought out by a luxury goods company from France, one of the most famous ones. And they're not stressed by the market, because if they don't sell the wine, they sell the luxury goods. So it's treated as a piece of the puzzle, not the major piece. And to me, that's very important that they spend their time like Dunn does, like Dunn's family owned, and they've been family owned a long time. Maya Kamis was sold recently, but it was sold to Roederer Estate, who was very friendly with Al Bronstein. And they're continuing to make the wines that way. And that's a key thing to remember in California. And what's happened with Napa Valley versus Bordeaux is all these Napa Valley Bordeaux's are priced like classified Bordeaux's. Think about Screaming Eagle. Now, they only make a few hundred cases of their Cabernet, and it's like $3,000 a bottle. You know, the only wine that gets that is Le Pen and Petrus. As far as Bordeaux goes, you know, there's some Burgundies, Roman and Conti wines, La Tâche, and a few others that get that money. But that's where Napa Valley is now. Napa Valley, there's hundreds of wines that are 150, 200 and above, like a lot of the classified Bordeaux's. And they have the money behind them and the capital to do it. Now, I never compare Napa or California with French wines. They're very, very different, especially Cabernets. The Napa Valley versions are riper generally, but in the last few vintage, some of the Bordeaux vintages have been really ripe and hot, and they're being challenged how to keep the elegance in the wines in Bordeaux. But to look at Napa and putting it on your table, the average Napa Valley Cabernet is around $80 a bottle. Now, I can get a really good bottle of Bordeaux, classified Bordeaux, for 50 or under. 10 of them, 15 of them that are very good. And these guys, have they priced themselves out of the market? Or they're selling it at that price and it's just a very good business? Well, I think things are changing. And you have to understand Napa Valley, besides being an agricultural area that grows fine wines, they're also a big tourist area. And a lot of these vineyards are involved in the hospitality business, where they actually have tasting rooms where people pay, and I understand the average price is around $75 to taste the wines. 15, 20 years, it was free. People used to go to 10 different wineries and drink for free. Now, if you're going over there, you're paying $70. Maybe you go to two. Maybe you go to two. Can you afford that if you have a family? But that makes it more touristy. And I have a relative who goes every year to Napa Valley, and they get involved with the tastings, with the lunches that's catered, and she joins the wine club, and that's where they make a lot of money. So hospitality is a large part. Now, how is that business doing now? That is the question. So in the last few years, with declining consumption, per capita consumption has been going down the last few years. And also the economy has been pressed inflation. So tourism also is going down. Now, hotel occupancy rates have gone down since 2019. It was 71.7% occupancy in Napa. Now it's 61% in 2003. So that's about 15% down. And it has a lot to do with competition from other areas and people not being able to afford those $75 tastings and the cost of staying in the hotels in Napa Valley. Now, from 2008 to 2023, there's been an increase in winery licenses. And that means you can taste people at the winery. They can make money off the tastings. So all of a sudden, there's a plethora of places to go. It's a lot of competition, and if one place is too crowded, you go to the other place that's not crowded. But that's a problem. That's a problem. There's too much wine, too many wineries, and the prices are too high. And the question is, if you've ever gone to Napa Valley recently, you see how crowded it is. You see it's super crowded in the summer. You see all the tourists roaming around. You see the tasting rooms jammed, and there's picnic tables in the back, and some of them have weddings there. It's a big hospitality business, and it's really crowded. A lot of the residents there in Napa Valley, they don't like that. They paid a lot of money for their houses, and they're being overrun by tourists. And they're squeezing the governments to calm it down. And right now, there's 3,000 locations in Napa, just in Napa, that offer tastings. Figure that out. On a day, there's 3,000 places you can go to taste wine. To me, that's an oversaturated market. And a big factor a few years ago was the Chinese were coming around 2015, and they were flooding Napa Valley. And the Chinese spend. And it helped boom the market of tourism there, and the coffers of the wineries and the tasting rooms, and the hotel occupancy. But Xi now, the president of China, he's put a kibosh on people coming here and spending money. And that Chinese tourism trade, it's not there. It's very, very small to what it was because of government pressure. So just understand that Napa Valley only produces 4% of the total production of the rest of California. It's sort of like Bordeaux. Bordeaux, the classified Bordeaux's are less than 5% of all the wine produced in Bordeaux. So it's similar in that way. And that dictates price. But what's happening now is oversaturated market in Napa, oversupply. We have the 2023 vintage, which is going to be an excellent vintage. And it's a huge vintage. And what does that mean? It's going to put pricing pressure on companies, but wineries don't like reducing their prices on their premium products. So what you'll see is a lot of new labels come out, and I think the quality will be very high on those wines. And you'll see in 2 years, Costco will have a Napa Valley from a certain region in Napa for $19. And I bet you the wine's going to be really good. I bet you Trader Joe's will have a few too. And the Napa Valley oversupply will go into much lower price wines while the rest of them keep their image up with their regular labels. And it's going to be an outstanding vintage, but it's oversupply. And the question is, will they pick all the grapes? Will they crush all the grapes? Or will they take all the overproduction and have those labels? I think they'll have those labels. And you'll have an opportunity to buy some really good wines from Napa Valley at a good price. So watch for those wines that come out in 2023 vintage when it's released in a year and a half. So that's Napa in a nutshell, its history and where we are today.